Midsummer has just passed. Josh and I love to do something special to mark the shortest night of the year. This year's adventure was to spend the night on Worm's Head, this tidal island just off the southwest coast of Wales. A tidal island is only an island at high tide. At low tide, you can walk across this rugged, rocky causeway. It's vital to time it right though. Getting surprised by the incoming tide can be deadly. We made it onto the island. As the sea rose over the causeway behind us, our plan was to follow the setting sun west to the end of the island, crossing the spectacular and kind of terrifying Devil's Bridge. The island is uninhabited by people, but there were still locals to meet along the way, like this Atlantic grey seal. The name Worm's Head is derived from the Old English word worm, meaning serpent or dragon. The higher you climb, the better you can see how, like a serpent, the island extends and snakes into the sea. You're not allowed to pitch a tent on Worm's Head, so we didn't bring one. What we did do though was to tell the Coast Guard of our intention to let the sea cut us off overnight. Otherwise they might assume that we were in danger and send out a rescue team. This island truly is one of the most special places I've ever been to. We just had some dinner while watching the sunset over the sea, and now while there's still a bit of light we're going to walk around and find a suitable sleeping spot, hopefully with a nice view, and then we're gonna get cozy. We found a cozy spot on springy grass and got into our sleeping bags, but then immediately decided that sleeping seemed like a waste of precious hours on the shortest night of the year, so we got up again to explore more of the island at night. And wow, am I glad that we did. When we crossed the Devil's Bridge and peered over the terrifying drop, we saw bright flashes of blue lightning in the waves crashing against the rocks beneath us. Bioluminescent plankton. I had to clamber down the rocks and use long exposure photography to capture the bioluminescence and the starry sky on camera. This is a time-lapse of those photos. When the water was still, it was black, as you'd expect in the middle of the night. But as each wave surged and swirled, flashes like little sea spirits lit up the water. As we explored, it seemed as we were among otherworldly spirits. We watched as seaweed-covered rocks transformed into enormous spiny spider crabs, and then back into rocks again. On a night like this, it wouldn't have seemed much more miraculous if this whole rocky island did the same trick and turned into a serpent, the mythical creature it was named after. As the moon rose, we finally headed back to our sleeping bags, letting the sound of the waves sing us to sleep. Just an hour later, Josh woke me up as color started to return to the sky, and we climbed again to the highest and furthest end of the island. As we sat watching an airplane vapor trail catching the sunlight, I thought about how in summer many people take environmentally destructive long-haul flights all the way to the other side of the world in search of exciting places. And I wondered how many of them underestimate all of the magical adventures that they could find much, much closer to home. On the way down the neck of the serpent, we snacked on some nutty mallow seeds and flowers, getting to know the island with all of our senses. I love being able to really take my time to explore a place. Time to discover hidden corners, to sit down and observe, to listen. It can feel normal for human visitors to see wildlife only as it rushes to escape us. Some people barely know that wildlife encounters can be any different. That you can, for example, sit still at night with a torch and watch starfish hunting or hermit crabs grazing rather than hunting them down as they hide from you. There's a sign warning visitors to Worm's Head not to disturb the seals. The sign is there because some people unintentionally provoke resting seals to escape into the sea while trying to get a photo. They may not realize that seals need to rest and digest and breed on the rocks to survive life in the cold sea. I think this attitude to wildlife, the expectation that wildlife is something you glimpse as it flees, harms us as much as it harms the seals, because then you only experience yourself as a disturbance to nature and not as a part of it. You only experience yourself as an unwelcome visitor, not as another animal who belongs. So I try to take in my surroundings and to immerse myself as fully as I can. And I find that often other animals around you start accepting you as part of their environment, as neighbors, not invaders. Before leaving, we watched razorbills and guillemots flying to and from their colony on the cliff face. As the falling tide finally reconnected the island to the mainland, it was time for us to cross over to the real world once more.